we have two variables, and students, your objective is to test that whether there is certain kind of relationship between the two variables, provided that those two variables that you are going to consider, they are being taken in form of the ranks, or in case that you have a certain kind of outliers in the data, then you can test that relationship or association between the two type of rank data by Kendall-Stava test. Now, as you're familiar with the Kendall-Stava test, that how to calculate it manually in order to reject or accept an hypothesis, and you have get familiarized with the concept of entering the data into SPSS software in order to get the value of the Kendall-Stava test, and you have learned that how to define the variables. Now I would be explaining the procedure under SPSS that you need to follow to obtain the value of Kendall-Stava test, so that further you can pick up this value for possible acceptance or rejection of null hypothesis. So the problem under hand is, it was a study by Johnson in 1973 that he has conducted onto collegiate schools of nursing, and he was supposed to find out the relationship between two type of variables. One was the extent of agreement on the responsibilities for the decision making, and the other was faculty satisfaction. For the said purpose, he has picked up 12 institutions who have participated in his study, and he was required to test at 1% level of significance that whether the two type of variables, the extent of agreement for decision making and faculty satisfaction, are they related or independent of each other. Now students, I am assuming that you have already defined the two variables of interest, X and Y, and you have already entered the data under X and Y. Once you are done with that, at the very of SPSS window, you can observe various options. So you would have to click onto the analyze in order to get the Kendall-Stava value. So further you would have to click onto the correlate option, and then from the drop down list you will be picking up the bivariate option. Once you have followed that, this window would appear before you. As you can see that we have two variables X and Y which are appearing on left. We would have to move them to the right using this arrow button. And if you just look at the bottom, under correlation coefficient, it was being taken as Pearson. But we would have to click onto the Kendall-Stava test, but because it is a default selection, so we would have to change it to Kendall-Stava test. And as you can see that we would have, the SPSS would flag the significant correlations by establishing or showing a single static if your probability value, the p-value, or your correlation under Kendall-Stava test is significant at 5% level of significance, and it will be showing two statics with your Kendall-Stava test value if your value would be significant even onto the 1% level of significance, which is quite conservative compared to 5%. So the next thing you need to do is that you have moved the X and Y variables to the right hand side under the variables using this arrow button. And you have unchecked the Pearson because Pearson correlation isn't required. So you will have to click onto the Kendall-Stava B option. Test of significance would remain as two-tailed, but if you are interested in finding out a one-tailed value, then you can test for that, and the SPSS would flag the significant correlations. So by clicking on to the OK button, that would complete your procedure of Kendall-Stava test under SPSS.